My tiny whoops grooving like a funky jam. I dip through the doorway, spin by the cab, bounce off the toaster, yeah, I meant to do that. Neighbors knocking, saying, what's that sound? It's my brush motor soul train getting down. Flying through the curtain, dancing on breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic, bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop it all. I got LED strobes and a shag rug trail. I'm looping through the lava lamp, leaving a tail. My whoops got rhythm, my sticks got soul. I'm the pilot of the party. On a roll, TV remote's a gate, the lamps a dive. I'm flying like it's 7.5. No GPS, no rules, no shame. Just a funky little quad in a soul train frame. We fly that flow, grab that gap. No time to nap, no time to nap. Hit that roll, funk and control, bounce that wall, we fly it all, we fly it all. Tiny whoop love, funky and free. We fly indoors, we fly with glee. Whoop it, loop it, groove it, move it, bounce it, flip it, funk it, rip it, fly that soul, don't lose control. Tiny whoop love gonna make you whole. I thread the needle through the vinyl stacks, bounce off the mirror ball, never looking back. My quad's got soul, it's got style, it's got sass. It dips through the incense like a blast from the past. I'm flying figure eights through the lava lamp glow, dodging house plants like a funky pro. My whoops got rhythm, my sticks got heat. I'm the pilot of the party with the grooviest beat. I loop through the hallway, I dive by the broom. I'm the disco ghost in your living room. I hit that split that's over grandma's chair. She just claps and says, boy, you got flair. I'm flying freestyle with a velvet touch. My quad so smooth it don't need a clutch. From the shag rug to the ceiling fan, I'm the funky little fly with a master plan. The curtains dancing on the breeze, freestyle funk in my living room with ease. Tiny whoop magic bumping every wall. I'm the James Brown of flight, can't stop at all. Can't stop at all. Can't stop at all.
Hey friends, my name's Aaron Ciotti. Welcome to Whoop Wednesday. My dad got me an anemometer. When I was growing up, my parents got into flying kites, and so one of the things is nice to know what the wind speeds are, and so I now have an anemometer to check the wind speeds of basically just whoops. I mean, I'm sure we'll get sketchy together and do one or two open prop dealies just to kind of see, but mainly this is going to be for whoops because I don't want to chop myself up. The grand plan here, and I'm calling on you. I wonder if anybody has one of these. So, to take a step back... Yeah, hold on. Flywoo big fan. What? Where the hell? There it is. The origin here is that thrust stands lie. we do not fly. By the way, the opening there was flown on this little analog Baby Turtle V7 with on 2S 300 mAh Tiny Whoop BT 3.0 batteries, RC and Power 1002, 10,000 kV motors on HQ T 2x2x3s. Which I think I'm going to be selling this. Somebody is already interested. They already messaged me on Discord. I mentioned this the other night, and so if they don't buy it, it will probably be for sale. I want to do one more test with this though, but it's pretty fresh. So thrust stands lie because we don't fly through the air tied down, and so the thrust stand is accurate for the split second where you go from hovering to full throttle. Just in that one split second before this thing starts moving. Because once it starts moving, we now have incoming air. The weight and momentum of this is mashing it through the air. And so there is, for all intents and purposes, there is incoming air, which makes the motor prop combo's job easier. And we see this quite a bit when we start, with Tiny Whoop specifically, when we start looking at really high KV motors, which we will fly and they will feel great and they will obviously have more power when we're actually flying them than some of the lower KV motors. But then on the thrust stand, they'll barely make any extra thrust, or sometimes they'll actually make less. Like, you can go so high, you can wind a motor to be so high of a KV that it can, and then match it up with a propeller that's too draggy for that super high KV, and it'll actually make less power because it's basically getting too hot. The higher you wind a motor in terms of KV, the less resistance it has. That's what you're doing to get that extra RPM. KV is a measurement that when you multiply it out with voltage, essentially, you get RPM. And so the KV of the motor is the RPM potential of the motor. And so, yeah, there'll be these motors which, again, when we're flying them, they obviously have more power, but the thrust stand doesn't really show that. And that's because the thrust stand is not a realistic scenario, other than that one split second when you're hovering and you go absolutely full throttle. For that one split second, yes, absolutely. And we can also kind of see that with the RPM measurements at the end of the battery. With those really, really high KV motors, when you pair them with pitchy props, if you sit it and you crank it up, fire it up to full blast when you're holding it, and then you go fly it across the room, you'll get higher numbers when you're flying it across the room. And so I've always kind of wondered how the hell, basically what we need is a wind tunnel to get really accurate data. But like, boy, is that a massive pain in the ass. You gotta, they're big and fucking, it's too much. It's too much to have an actual wind tunnel. And from some testing that that 533 did, they were able to take one of the racing whoops with like one of the set of high power motors, and a big battery. They actually used the weBLEED 465 battery, which reminds me, I'm going to throw this on the charger right now, actually. They were able to do, I believe it was 40 miles an hour. I know one of you saw that video. Back me up on this. Was it 30 or 40 miles an hour? They flew a whoop full throttle with the big battery next to a car, and then they just sat there and looked at the speedometer of the car and just read out what the speedometer was on the car. And a 1.2 inch prop Tiny Whoop was able to do, it was either 30 or 40 miles an hour. And so that gets me thinking, okay, I've been thinking about that. Okay, so all we need to do is get some 30 to 40 miles an hour, 30 to 40 mile an hour wind. Uke says, I think it was 40. That's what I remember as well. And so that's the number that's been on my head, has been 40 miles an hour. 40 miles an hour of wind is hard to get, especially an area of wind that's this big. They have those little brushless motor hand, replace the cans of air jib jabs that'll do like 100 miles an hour of airspeed. But in order to do that, they put the nozzle next down, and it's just a tiny little nozzle by the end to squash that air in and get that kind of crazy airspeed. And so I didn't necessarily think that those little, and a lot of times like they have little EDF ducted fans on top. A lot of times they're only about this big, and like that's not going to be a big enough area of moving air for this. And then the other, not too long ago, I remembered this ridiculous thing from Flywoo, which is just basically a 5-inch motor and a single channel ESC, and then an XT60 on the bottom. And it struck me at some point here recently that this will probably output, and then this is a 3-inch 5-bladed propeller. Like a Cinewoop propeller. And so we've got like a 3-inch propeller, which should be about the same size as 65 motor to motor, 75 motor to motor whoops. Not to mention that this is going to blow a cone of thrust outwards. And so I think that this is how we get a wall of 40 mile an hour wind. Which will let us, it'll let us sort of better test some of these motors, but like not really, because I don't have a thrust stand and I'm not going to put this on a thrust stand. We're just going to look at RPM. I'm really curious as to, and I think that the RPM is a really good measurement because it's pretty damn accurate. And so, yeah, if you know anybody that has one of these that's not using it, this strikes me as something that you buy, you use it once, and then you never use it again. I can't find this in stock anywhere in the US, and I of course just placed a Flywoo order, and so I don't necessarily want to place another Flywoo order just for this thing. And so yeah, if any of you have seen this in stock in the US, or if you know of anybody that has one of these, I can't imagine you would use this very often. Maybe, but yeah, I would like to get one of these. I gotta figure some way to mount the damn thing, because at 40 miles an hour, it's gonna push really hard. So I'm gonna have to figure out some sort of a mounting solution. Unfortunately, the XT60 is on the bottom. I was really hoping to like strap it vertically down to the desk over here. But I don't think that's going to work. So I guess I'm going to maybe like figure out a clamping setup on the side here, and then like hang it side. I'll figure something out. But yeah, that's the main plan here. But the question is, like, how much air is that thing blowing out? And that's where this anemometer is going to come in. And my original thought for this was like, I'm just going to use this once or twice, because I'm going to get that thing, I'm going to get the mounting all set up, and then I'm going to crank it up. It's got a dial to adjust the speed, and I'll crank it up and hold the anemometer at like whatever distance. I'm hoping that I'll be able to hold the whoop directly up against the front of the fan here, so that the distance doesn't matter. And then I just have to figure out with the knob, where do I need to put the knob, right? And so I put the anemometer up right against the front grill of this thing. I turn the knob up until the anemometer shows 40 miles an hour of airspeed, and we're done. Or maybe less. It would probably make sense to crank it down a little bit, because like some motors aren't going to go 40 miles an hour, and so we don't want to help those motors out. It's only the really powerful motors that'll do that 40. And so maybe we do it at like 30 or 35. We'll see. I'm super curious to see how much fucking chaos it's going to be down here with this thing cranking. It might blow the whole room to smithereens. I don't know. But yeah, figure out on airspeed, pick a number, right? We want repeatability. Pick a number, and then use the anemometer to dial that in so that I know exactly where on that dial I need to be for the airspeed that we choose. And then I was like, well, I won't really need this anymore. But what I realized talking to my dad today is that I can use this to just with the whoops, and I actually did. The thumbnail image showing 25.7 miles an hour was actually this guy. This is an Air 75 V2 with a motor swap. These are the GEP-RC 1002 25,000 kV motors on the Gemfan 1610 props. And this guy was it when I had it set up as... So they want you to blow the air directionality in this way. The screen is here. And so they want you to hold it up into the wind, and then you look at this, you get the wind blowing in your face, and so you hold it up like this, the wind is blowing this way, and then you can read it. And so basically for us, it just means we hold the tiny whoop back here. I hold it out like this to obstruct the airflow as little as possible, and then crank it up on the transmitter, and I get to stare right at the number. Also, this thing has min-max, so I have it set on max, so whatever the maximum airspeed that it reads, that's the number that stays on the screen, which is just perfect. Because I've done this like once or twice now today, just as sort of like a proof of concept, and it's a little finicky, and like, what's actually really interesting is that I thought holding it right up here would create the biggest airspeed. It absolutely does not. As I move it back, it makes more and more and more airspeed until around here or so. And like, it makes a big difference. Like, I was seeing like 2, 3, 4 miles an hour difference between like all the way here and all the way there. So yeah, kind of cool stuff. But I figured it would be fun tonight to fire this guy up. We can test a bunch of different quads, a bunch of different 1S quads for sure. I'm definitely going to do the 1.6 inch 2S builds. I might do the 2-inch 2S builds. And if I'm feeling stupid, I would love to do one of these open prop builds, but boy, is that a recipe for just blood. But I don't know. We'll see. I definitely want to do a bunch of these 1S rigs, though. I think I should stop at the 2, because, like, look, this 2S build is on 1102s. The 2-inch 2S build is on 1003s. This guy is on 1003s. This is like the one that I would probably be willing to do. But like, the problem is I'm gonna have to hold it by the battery, and like the battery is on top here, and like, boy, is that close to my fucking fingies. And like, I don't think that something this small would draw blood until it's at full throttle. Like, you know, when we talk about like rigs being safe and not safe, usually we're thinking like at a cruise, you know, like you hit somebody at a cruise. We're not thinking like you put your fingers into it at full throttle. So like, I don't know, man, it seems a little sketchy. And I got a gig coming up in a couple of weeks, so yeah, I'm probably gonna skip that, because I don't know any other. I don't know of a really safe way to hold it. I guess maybe I could kind of hold it like this, but then my hand is all in the way, and yeah, I'm probably gonna skip that. But yeah, I thought it'd be cool to put a bunch of these different builds with a bunch of different motors, a bunch of different props in front of the anemometer and see what it says. I'm curious if it's gonna be how repeatable it's gonna be. And then the other thing I'm super curious about is actually my dad's idea, was suck versus blow. will it make more airspeed pushing air through the back of the damn thing, right? So will it make more airspeed like this, or will it make more airspeed like this, pulling air through the thing? And so, yeah, figure we could screw on to the new tool tonight, see if we learn anything, see what the difference is between some of these. You know, what's the difference between a 32,000 kV motor and a 40,000 kV motor? A 1002 25,000 on 1S versus 1102 22,000 on 1S versus what is this on 18,000s on 2S, right? Could be cool, could be nonsense, could be cool. I can also now tell you that with your face you can make 8.9 miles an hour of wind. Pretty cool. In the chat, Nathan Wells was first. Mr. Clean, B-Bird, Chef Bruno. Oh man, Social Stream is doing the thing where it's scrolling to the bottom after every single chat comment. That is not gonna work for me. B-Bird, Chef Bruno, Frank Dr. Nicholas, Level Up, Ridge Ripper, Hey Ryan, Spaceman Spiff, Uriel. Yep, nope. Can't use Social Stream again. That is unfucking acceptable. Hold on. Wowee. It's just everything in the world is getting worse. Every single piece of software, every single piece of gear, every single thing on Earth gets a little bit worse every single day. It is just crazy to be alive right now. Spaceman Spiff, Uriel, Uke, Jamie Flies FPV, CMYK, Jimmy Sprinkles, Zout, Chef Bruno, Striker FPV, Ant Batch, Hey Ryan, Jimmy Sprinkles, of course, the mastermind behind the week of FPV insanity in Portland, Oregon, which I'm so fucking salty that I couldn't make it to. I just like, you know, I went on that trip with Maggie to Portland a couple months ago and just absolutely fell in love with it. And then like as soon as I got back, I found out about the Portland Pilot Exchange. But I just couldn't swing it. We've got a couple family, we had a family vacation, and it's just, yeah, traveling is expensive. But I really hope to make it there next year. Everybody looked like they had an absolute blast. A bunch of the guys that went have been messaging me like, dude, holy shit, you got to make it to this next year. So yeah, Jimmy Sprinkles, massive thumbs up, man. Super cool that you organized most, if not all, of that, it seems like. Wild stuff. Who else is here? Hey Ryan, Ant Batch, David Ciotti is in the house, Off Axis, Skull 901, DeGhoul, Striker, Portal's End, Uriel. What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming. Where are we at here? So yeah, that's the deal. That's what we're screwing around with tonight. Let me try to get caught up on chat a little bit here. Uke says whoop whoop. Jamie Flies FPV says oh hey. Chef Bruno says you could also know what wind speed is when you test. Very true. Very true. Yep. Like if I'm flying on a windy day, I can use the anemometer to tell me how windy it is. Here, at the house, we have like barely any wind. I don't know what it is, because like when I'll fly up high and I'll see like trees the neighborhood over moving around. I think it's because like the elevation drops off, like the road, all the like the major highway up there. Our neighborhood just drops down, so I'm assuming that the wind just like blows right up over top of us. But yeah, out in front of the house, we very rarely have any wind. Uke says no way if I had that fan I'd be using it all day at work. Uriel says a cheap hairdryer, not even close. 40 miles an hour of wind is mega. Like we have two of these Vornado fans. I think that's what they're called, Vornado, which like they have the cool like squiggly veins on the front of the fan, which make the wind spiral and whatever. They're fans that are they're usually a little bit quieter than normal fans, and they usually blow a little bit harder than normal fans. So I've always had one that's over there, and like you crank it up to high, and like it moves air in this room. I tested it with the anemometer, 4.5 miles an hour of air. I was like, dude, holy shit, yeah, 40 miles an hour is gonna light this house on fire, and I can't wait. I have a feeling we're gonna turn it down to 35 or 30. I think 40 is gonna be. I think at 40 miles an hour, the sound coming out of that Flywoo fan is gonna be absurd. Like I said, it has a 5-inch motor in it. I think it has like a 2306 in it, and you power it with a 6S battery. Yes, it's only a 3-inch prop, but it's a 3-inch 5-blade prop. And I think that like a 3-inch 5-blade prop will basically do what like a 5-inch tri-blade prop will do. And freestyle quads will pretty easily get going 100 miles an hour. That's with 4 motors and props, right? But I'm pretty sure that that one 2306 with a 5-blade 3-inch prop will. I don't know. We'll see. I hope that it's not like maxed out. I'm worried that I'm gonna crank it up all the way and it's only gonna do like 30 miles an hour, because you know, with 4 motors and props to go 100 miles an hour, the most simple math would say that each one is doing 25, but I don't think that's true. I think they all need to be blowing 100 miles an hour of airspeed in order for the craft to get up to 100 miles an hour. But I think that as the craft starts to travel faster and faster, the incoming air is going to make that job a lot easier, right? We're going to have this thing strapped down to the desk like a thrust stand. And so, yeah, I have no idea how it's going to go. But the first step is getting my hands on one of these Flywoo Quick Cool VTX portable violence fans. So if you've seen one of these in stock inside the US, let me know and I'll just buy it real quick. Or if you know somebody that has one of these and hasn't been using it, yeah, let me know. I messaged Nick Burns because I noticed that he'd tested it, and I said, hey, you think that thing would make 40 miles an hour of wind? And he was like, yeah, it'll easily do that. So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. And then, yeah, we can do some interesting tiny whoop motor testing and see what happens with these really high kV motors when you've got a bunch of incoming air coming to the whoop. I'm super curious what I have a feeling the difference in RPM is going to be gigantic. Like, I don't know, is it going to double? Like, because what I'm seeing right so far, and we're going to dive into this a lot more in a minute, this is able to make 25 miles an hour of airspeed with me holding it. This, in theory, should go faster than the quad that 533 tested, because this is a 1.6 and that was a 1.2. And so if this can do 25, in theory, it can at least do 40 or 45, and that's almost double. So, like, does that airspeed allow the RPM to double? That'd be crazy. I'm excited to find out. So yeah, that's the deal for tonight, man. We're gonna crank a bunch of these things up at full throttle, see what the difference is between them. Yeah, we're gonna have to do all of this testing from lipos. The adjustable power supply does not push hard. The lipos are something else, man. That adjustable power supply, like, it won't do much more than like 10 amps, I think. We, like, to power our quads hard, all 4 motors, like, we need lipos. Lipos are unbelievable. For like a power supply to provide the amperage that we need to fully power these things up, it would have to be a big ass power supply with, I'm assuming, a shitload of capacitance built in. which I don't have. And so, yeah, we'll do all the testing with LiPos. We'll, like, put them on the charger, make sure they're fully charged, take it off, run it, put it right back on the charger, right? Try to have it at full voltage the whole time. And so, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm very curious if there's going to be any amount of repeatability in doing some of this testing. We'll find out together. And I'm just realizing that I've got like a bunch of papers and shit here that are probably going to go flying when I do this. So let me just tuck a couple things away here. Where was I at in chat here? Striker says, any canopy recommendations for an O4 wide 65mm build? Specifically meant to be a tiny Cinewhoop that is not going to be crashed. O4 wide 65mm build is going to be pretty brutal. The lighter weight O4 narrow on a 65mm builds is really, really rough. The O4 wide is going to require a much bigger canopy, and the camera itself is another gram or two heavier. So that's going to be a tough build. I don't know of any O4 wide tiny whoop canopies at all. I'm sure they're out there. Just look for the Flywoo. The DJI O4 wide is so new that you're probably not going to find anything for that. But the Flywoo is close enough that, yeah, search like Thingiverse and Printables and the other one for Flywoo wide whoop canopy is what I would search for. And there's got to be one or two. But yeah, that thing is going to fly pretty bad, for the record. If you're never going to crash it, though, you can run the weBLEED giant batteries and kind of get around it. But yeah, that's going to be rough. Hey, Ryan says, I had no idea stores in Georgia have drone delivery. Have you seen that? I haven't personally seen it. Our neighborhood is very treed up, so you really couldn't do drone delivery here. But yeah, there have been a couple stories in our local news about the drone delivery stuff hitting people's houses and power lines and shit like that. It's a real disaster. Ant Batch says, I had a bad FET on a quad that size, and I used to hold it by the battery as I armed it and flick one prop to get it started. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's sketchy as shit. My dad says you can use hot dogs to test finger destruction. You can indeed. That's a trick from Mythbusters. Mythbusters used to do that. That's hysterical. Off Axis says, whoops suck better than they blow because of the motor mounts, and the battery lead can get in the way of a good blow. Yeah, when you fall down the rabbit hole of how propellers work, you'll find that in aeronautics they talk a lot about the area in front of the propeller being more important than the area behind the propeller, because in front of the propeller the work is being done, the air is being pulled in, and then behind the propeller it's just like get the air out. And so like we always think of propellers like pushing themselves through the air, but they actually pull themselves through the air. I think they do a little bit of, I'm assuming they must do a little bit of both. But yeah, once or twice I've fallen down like the propeller rabbit hole, just Google searching like propeller theory, and it always happens when I want to learn more about the pitch of propellers. And yeah, that was something that I didn't kind of expect. What's interesting about that, though, what that means is that it's more, basically what that means is that a puller, right? This is a puller configuration. A puller where the incoming air area is more clean and clear than behind the propeller. This should be more efficient. I've never seen anybody perfectly test it back to back with a tiny whoop frame, but nobody that I can trust at least. But Ryan Harrell, who I absolutely can trust, tested a box frame, his box frame, the QAVS Cine Freibot, which is a frame that you can very easily flip the camera upside down. The camera cage is universal, so you can flip the camera upside down, flip the props upside down, and just go into Betaflight and reverse the board and everything. They saw a 20% increase in efficiency as a pusher configuration, which is super weird. It should not be like that. But the aerodynamic situation on quads is a disaster. There's 4 propellers. Box frames are even worse. There's flat carbon on like the top and the bottom. There's the support. It's super weird. And so, yeah, I'm also interested to see what kind of wind speed we get pulling versus pushing air on this. I don't think that'll tell us the answer to that. I'm just curious. I'm just super curious what we will see. On one hand, I feel like it should be exactly the same, right? But who knows? Where I think it might not be the same is like the way that it pulls air in. Maybe it pulls air in from a wider area, and the anemometer rather, this is not that big, right? And so like whichever side, I feel like intake versus thrust, whichever side it cones the air a little bit more, or if it pulls the air, you know what I mean, from like the middle, I think that's what we'll be able to see if there's any difference pulling versus pushing. But yeah, we'll maybe learn something. I don't necessarily know if we're going to learn something tonight. I think we're going to see something tonight. I don't know what we're going to learn from it, but it could be interesting. Striker says, also, what hardware for a 65 millimeter O4 light build, gummies, screws? Yeah, you're going to run grommets, the rubber grommets, and then the screws, you're going to need either M1.2 by 10 or 12 or 14. I sell all 3 of those on my Etsy store. Probably just buy all 3 of them because there's not really any way to know how tall your stack is going to be. The ones in the middle should work, but they might not, and it's only a couple bucks, so yeah. Yuke says, won't you have to run the same props on all the motors? I mean, so for tonight, we're just going to throw a bunch of shit at the wall and see what sticks. See what's repeatable. I don't think it's going to be repeatable enough because of what I've already seen with like the distance that you hold the quad away having a big effect on it. And so I don't think we're going to get to that point, Yuke. But you never know. If it is super repeatable, then yeah, it could be interesting to, on a couple of different motors, run the exact same props and see how the motors do. I don't think we really need to do that, though, because the RPM. Us being able to take a bunch of different quads with a bunch of different fully charged batteries out in our front yards, go full throttle, and just look at the RPM in the post-flight stats. I've been doing that for years now, and it's always accurate. Like, I've never had a situation where I fly 2 rigs, one of them feels more powerful than the other, and that more powerful one turns a lower RPM. That's never happened. And so, yeah, the point of this was absolutely to dial in that Flywoo anger fan. But we might as well see if there's anything that we can learn from it. You know what I mean? By just holding the whoops up. Also, like, you know, I'm going to be putting a battery onto a whoop. I'm going to be holding it with my hands. I'm going to have the transmitter on my lap. I'm going to have to arm it. Pit loop's going to come on. It's going to start discharging the battery. I'm going to have to hold it up. I'm going to have to go full throttle. The battery's going to sag like hell, right? There's like a million things that are going to happen here that can make these results not make any sense. But, you know, anything's worth trying once. Jimmy Sprinkles says, I wrote this without tagging you. I appreciate your compliments. Means a lot coming from you. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, look, like, there are FPV is so rad, dude. There's like so many people that are so willing to put like their time and effort into so many different things. Be that like supporting content creators, planning events, you know, like the Castle Crash crew. There's like 5 or 6 of them that put like tons of time into planning Castle Crash for nothing. Like they're just doing it for the love of the game, as the cool people say. Apparently there's some game going on. I don't know. But yeah, it's just so cool. And like event organizers tend, like, they'll get a little bit of love at like the end of the event, but like it's not enough. It's a lot of time and it's a lot of effort to plan all that shit out. And so yeah, I try my best to give props where they're due. Also because, you know, I've lived through situations where when people don't support something, it goes away. My 2.5, almost 3 years ago, my partner Maggie, who has a long history in Egyptian style belly dance and a bunch of Latin dancing, she has an amazing history in dance. She's a phenomenal dancer. It's absurd. 3-ish years ago, she showed me a Facebook ad for like the place where we had our first date, a couples dance class, and I was like, oh, that's super cool. Let's do it. First of all, because like, you know, what a better like, you want to be a fucking awesome partner when your partner says like, I'm interested in this thing, you fucking go do it. Like that's just what you do. But also it was kind of interesting. Like I've never known how to dance, and it was like, cool, I'll get to hide behind a really good dancer. So it was like perfect. And it was taught by this really cool guy, Wilder, who unfortunately lost his battle to depression later that year. And I took the class over just because, you know, I've lived with pretty severe depression my whole life. I have a unique understanding of what Wilder was going through, I guess is a way to say it. And I refused to let this amazing thing that he built that was gathering all these people together just disappear. And I've been teaching those classes I've been stumbling my way through teaching those classes every Sunday for the last almost 2 years now. And unfortunately, this year, the attendance has really fallen off. And we had like a core group of people that were like coming every single week and having a blast, and like one by one they stopped showing up. And now it got to the point where we're not getting enough people to keep the class going. And so actually this Sunday is our last class. And it's just, you know, and so like I send the email out to this email list of like 100 people that we've put together over the last 2 years. And of course I get a couple responses of like from people that haven't come in like the last year, of like, oh no, you know, why do you have to do that? Just keep it going. You just keep it going. And I'm like, you didn't support this and now it's gone. And that's what happens when like you don't support something, right? Like when believe me, I get it. Like there were Sunday nights when Wilder's teaching where I just didn't feel like going. And the last 2 classes that he taught were 2 of those. And Maggie and I didn't go to those, and I'll never forget that. And like, it wouldn't have changed anything, but I would have had 2 more chances to hang out with a friend of mine, and I was too lazy to do it, straight up. And like, I will never forget that. And that is such an important thing that I'd like never really kind of thought about, you know, because like people are doing their thing and like everybody's busy and like, yeah. And so it's super important. It's super important to support the shit out of good stuff that people are putting their time and effort into. And so, yeah, remember that, people. And like, you know, it's most evident with like small businesses, right? And so whenever you can support that small business, and maybe you have to pay $5 extra for that album, that record that you're buying, do it. Pay $30 from the local record store versus $25 on eBay or Amazon. eBay is a lot better, right? But like, and yeah, sure, Amazon has a lot of private sellers on it, absolutely. But those private sellers are typically losing money. One of my previous jobs is I got a company set up with Amazon, and learned that most companies literally lose money when they sell things on Amazon. They do it for marketing. Just being on Amazon gets you a lot of marketing. And so remember that when you buy stuff on Amazon, like, yeah, sure, it's coming from a private seller, but they're taking a beating on that. Whereas if you go to their website, or if you get it from even like a store that they're set up with, they're not losing money selling through stores. So yeah, support the shit out of small businesses, friends, because it sucks when they go away. Also, when I lived in Charleston, in downtown Charleston, there's a street called King Street, which is where all the cool shops were. It was like 2 blocks of all the fucking coolest stores when I first moved there. In the 5 years that I lived there, most of those amazing independent privately owned stores couldn't afford to be on King Street anymore, and got replaced by fucking Sephora and like Starbucks and like CVS and all these, you know, big corporations, and King Street was ruined, and I stopped going there because it was just awful. So yeah, support the shit out of small businesses. It's super important. You know, support somebody trying to put their kid through college versus some asshole trying to buy a 15th fucking yacht, right? So yeah, there you go. There's your guys' rant for the live stream. Yuke says, so I think I'm going to try and build a light as possible analog 65 Pro. Oof. With the new frame, might try some 802s. Oh, wait. I read that as 65 with O.R.T Pro, which is why I was like, whoa. Yeah, you're talking about one of these. I was gonna do that tonight, but it poured for most of the day today, and I wanted to put a few more batteries through this. So we're gonna probably do that on like Friday or maybe Sunday, where we move this over to the 65 Pro frame to see how it is outside and also inside. And I've even built a little 65 O.R.T Lite that we can compare it to. The O.R.T Lite narrow is lighter, and the canopies are lighter. I don't even like significantly lighter than this big ass canopy. And so yeah, this kind of makes sense. This is admittedly very difficult to fly inside, but still, for science, I did this to compare it to the 65 Pro that this is going to become. So yeah, we'll see. I'm excited for that. I really wanted to do it today, but I just, yeah, I almost did it because this, I can almost guarantee you that I'm going to move this to the 65 Pro frame. I'm not going to like it. And then I'm going to move it back to this 75 Pro frame because this is fucking awesome. Like, this is ridiculously good. And so I almost just said to hell with it and did it, but I got tied up with a bunch of other shit. One of the things I got tied up with earlier today, available to you wonderful patrons that support a very small business in the gangliest of ganglies, is you guys have access to, on the Patreon page itself, Tech Talk is the tag that I use for all of like the technical articles and shit. One of those items is a link to a couple of different spreadsheets that I've created on Google Docs that you have access to. And there's one big one, CiottiFPV Tiny Whoop data, and it's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 now, 8 tabs on the bottom. A day ago, there was only 6 tabs on the bottom. There are 2 new tabs. One of them is anemometer data that we're going to fill up in a little bit here. The other tab is now motor RPMs. As I take all these different builds outside on a fully charged battery and hammer the throttle to look at what the RPM is, I'm going to come into this and put the motor, the prop, the battery, the AIO, the frame, and then the RPM that it pulled. So, yeah. That CiottiFPV Tiny Whoop data, for Google Docs, Google Sheets, whatever the hell it is, we'll have some fun new stuff on it, because it's really interesting to kind of keep track of that. And those RPM numbers are real world. Like, that's really what these things are doing out in the actual air, moving through that air versus like on the thrust stand. And also there's kind of an infinite number of motor prop combos, right? Like when we get thrust stand testing, it's one propeller and then a bunch of different motors, or one motor and a bunch of different propellers, right? So I'm hoping this Google Sheets will give us a shitload of different combinations that'll help a little bit. You know, every little bit of data that we can actually get helps, right? So Yuke says, we got that. Uriel says, air is still thick. It behaves like water. You have to make some smoke so you can see more clearly. I can do that. I have a very cool little portable smoke thing somewhere. It used to be there. Where the hell did it go? It's here somewhere. It's probably down there. Chef Bruno says, do you know if we can flash SPI on 4.1 ELRS? I have no idea. There's nothing in the new version of ELRS that really excites me, and so I haven't really learned much about it. Does anybody know? I would think not, because SPI stuff has the version of ELRS that's on the version of Betaflight, right? Is I'm pretty sure how it works, and I don't think there's a version of Betaflight, although there was just a new 2025, so maybe on that brand new version of Betaflight that I just saw pop up, maybe that has ELRS 4.1. Off Axis says, put the drone in a clamp on your desk, maybe. Well, you know, that's interesting. I guess I could. I was thinking about clamping the fan and then holding the drone, but there's no reason I couldn't figure out a way to clamp the drone. But the whoop frames are so floppy. Like, how the hell do you clamp this thing down in a way that it won't blow away with 40 miles an hour of wind? So yeah, I think clamping the fan down makes more sense, because then I can hold. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Good call though. Uriel says, I hope you really feel the difference. Forget and forgive yourself. Chef Bruno says, don't put that on you like that, but I do understand. A lot of us on this road tend to blame ourselves for not being there, and all you couldn't have known. Yeah, no, I don't blame myself at all. At all. To blame myself would be a very, like, egotistical kind of thing. Like, to think that me going, you know, Maggie and I going to his dance classes was the difference between him taking his own life and not. That's, you know, that, no. Like, and being someone who's been pretty deep down the major depressive disorder rabbit hole, no, it's not that. To get to the point that he was at, and one of the strongest forces within depression is a absolutely absurdly deep loneliness, where there is no one else in the world. There could be someone right in front of you, and your brain is not functioning even remotely correctly. And so, yeah, I take zero responsibility for what happened. I feel awful about what happened. And I really wish that I'd known that he had more than just anxiety. I knew that he had a really rough time with anxiety, but I had no idea that he was struggling with depression. Again, it would be pretty egotistical for me to say that, like, oh, if I'd just known, I'd have been able to talk to him about it and help. Almost certainly not. but you know, we gotta, one of the coping mechanisms that I've developed to deal with it, because it hit me really hard, is to pull some like life lessons out of it, you know. And so that's where I'm at with it. That's so, yeah, it's it had little to nothing to do with me, but it's, you know, wake up, whatever you want to call it, wake up call or whatever. It's a thing that's real, you know. I think it's like a person a minute. We lose one person a minute to suicide. It's crazy. It's absolutely absurd, and it's getting worse and worse. And so talking about it is really important. I know it's not many people's favorite thing to talk about, but you know, I got 2 fucking hours to fill. I got to talk about something. No, it is really, really important, especially when I have an audience that is 99% male, because it is much more of a male problem than many more suicides occur within the male population than the female population. Yet another example of how much smarter they are than us. But yeah, it's super important, and I hate to bring the vibe down or whatever, but if me having this conversation helps one human being on this earth, then it was absolutely worth it. And like, you know, I don't care if I lose a couple patrons over it. It doesn't matter. Like, you know, life is more about, yeah, life is about more than physical things. Chef Bruno also says, if you would have ran to be there, and if you would have too, and you honored him both and his hard work for as long as you could. Write that in your good deeds book. Yeah, for sure. It's I am yeah, I did what I could. I did not, like, could I have done more to keep this dance class going? Probably. I could have probably spent even more of my time like doing some of my own marketing or whatever, but like it was volunteer work for me. Like and I got to eat, right? So like I put as much time as I realistically could in, and I feel great about that. I would love for it to have kept going, but I feel awesome about what I've done over the last almost 2 years. It was great. And sometimes life gives you an opportunity to jump on it and just go for it, even if you're super uncomfortable. It was fucking, those first couple of classes that I taught, oh my God, I was just like, holy shit. Yeah, I'm just one of you, but like, let's just practice, I guess. And then I got pretty good at teaching it. So yeah, do hard things, friends. Yuke says, did you see the new Betaflight release and features? Pretty damn cool. Can even build kid drones with optical flow now. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. I saw that there was a new release. I didn't really look into it. Frank Dr. Nicholas says, don't forget the oily residue from your smoke machine. Might make a messy anemometer. Yeah, the smoke machine I've learned to use very sparingly because of the residue. Cole FPV says you should build a 3D printed wind tunnel. The problem with wind tunnels is they have to be big. And I don't have the space or and like, I don't think we're going to learn a lot from it. Like we're not in a situation where it's like super important. I don't know if we'll learn anything from it, to be honest. I just think it'll be super interesting to kind of see the difference, but like, I don't think it's a tool that we really need. I think we get enough data from static thrust stands and then going full throttle on a fully charged battery and looking at the RPM. I think that's good enough. Especially because like we don't even need that. Like you build a drone, you fly it, you change the props or the motors, you can tell if it's got more or less power. And like that, cool. Do you want more power? Do you want like boom, done. You know, I don't think we need to like dive super deep into it. If I was trying to do something crazy like building the top speed drone, or you know what I mean, like maximizing efficiency or something like that, okay, it might have some value, but like I'm not, right? we're just wiggling the sticks for a while. So yeah, it would, on one hand, it would be kind of fun to dive down the wind tunnel rabbit hole and figure out how to like get laminar flow with like big long strakes or drain. I forget what they're called. They it's like a grid. But yeah, it would. Uriel says your soldering clamp system. What about it? YouTube did the thing. Says to hold the quad. Yeah, the good thinking. The Omni Fixo could probably hold the quad somewhat, but then you've got a flat surface below it, which would cause a problem, I would think. But yeah, you're right. The Omni Fixo absolutely will grab the ducts like that. And then so I could just hold the fan like this and then crank it up. Interesting. I'm thinking with the amount of airflow it's going to get, though, I would not want it blowing straight down on the desk. I'm pretty sure I'm going to want to blow the fan upwards and hold the whoop upside down on it so that the air hits the ceiling and goes out. But yeah, that's true. The Omni Fixo absolutely holds a whoop very solid. Good thinking. Get on there, little clampy bastards. All right. YouTube did the thing. Says sounds like you could use some camera gear to hold the fan and drone on sliders so you can adjust distance and height to calibrate the measurements. So what I think I'm basically going to do is get the fan clamp situation like figured out, and then I'll just fire it up and just hold the anemometer at different distances until it gets me the right. What I'm really hoping is that I can hold it right up against the grill, because then there's no variance. But if that won't work, then yeah, I'll just sort of like loosely figure out the distance that this thing needs to be at, and then just try to hold the whoop at roughly that same sort of distance. I have shitloads of photography clamps floating around all over the damn place that I will certainly use to try to figure this all out. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at currently, but we'll see. It all depends on how strong that handle is on that thing. Chef Bruno says, did you know they finally standardized the crisis number and you don't have to know a damn 800 number? I do. And I've actually called it before. It is 988. Remember that, friends. 988 is the crisis hotline. And it is a wonderful resource that is incredibly important. And you should never, ever, ever feel bad about calling. It is their job. If you need it or somebody around you needs it, call the fucking number. If they can't hold the phone, you hold the phone. Like, just call the fucking number. It's free. It's fine. The police will not show up unless you tell them to. It is an incredible resource. 988, friends. Remember that number. It's like the most cliche thing in the world to say out loud, but it is absolutely true that you could save someone's life. Jamie Flies FPV says, thank you. This stream is always awesome. Thank you. Very kind of you to say. Sear says, I'm watching 2x speed to catch up. If I remember correctly, Evan reached 34 miles an hour with his tiny whoop. It was I was trying to hit 50 plus. Jesus. 34. Yeah, that makes sense. 34, 40. I'm thinking 30 miles. I'm thinking that Flywoo fan at 30 miles an hour is going to be pretty chaotic. And I think that's close enough. If he did 40, great. I think that was a really powerful whoop. I think 30 is going to be the number that we shoot for. YouTube did the thing. Says also, couldn't you make your own fan? Yes, but the handle is going to be the tough part. I think hardest part would be finding a single channel ESC with a dial that can handle that kind of power. Happy to design a handle stand for it all to print. Yeah, I'll tell you, like, if the Flywoo one Oh, for God's sakes. If the Flywoo Big Fan thing here wasn't so cheap, I would consider it. But like for $35, for it to have a motor, an ESC, a knob, the screen, the handle, right, the XT30, it's like a total no-brainer. Like, you know, you would almost spend $35 on the motor and the ESC, right? And so like you get all this other stuff for free, and like it's, yeah, they've obviously tested it so the ESC shouldn't catch on fire. So yeah, like if this was like $80, I'd be way more interested in that. But like shit, man, $35. I almost threw one of these onto the Flywooder that I just did just for fun. I really wish that I had. But yeah, $35 is just a crazy deal. Sear says, if I get another chance, I'll show my results from OSD GPS 1.6-inch Tiny Whoop. Very cool. GPS on a Tiny Whoop. What a time to be alive. I love it. Ryan Sadat says, I'm going overseas for vacation and just want to bring one drone. Would you bring Meteor 65 Pro 2 or 75 Pro 2 if you've tried the 65? Haven't tried the 65 yet, but I would absolutely bring the 75. The 65 is almost, I can just guarantee you that the 65 is going to be too heavy to fly inside, at which point, why bother? Outside, there's nothing that the 65 is going to do better than the 75. So yeah, 75 for sure. Ryan says 65 Pro with the tree toppers. Euro says the fixers hold also on other metal structure. What does that mean? Chef Bruno says the number is in one of my last videos. Lost a few subs over it. It is so frustrating. But oh well. It's been a rough ass year. Yeah. People like we're not going to go down that road. We're not going to be negative. Let's start blowing tiny whoops through an anemometer and see what the hell happens. I have no clue what we're going to see here, and I'm excited. If you're wearing headphones, type the word headphones. I'm going to do what I can to not deafen people, but I have a feeling I'm going to deafen people. Fair warning. You've been warned. All right, the 465 is done. Ooh, we can also check like batteries. Like this big ass battery versus a 300. That'll be interesting. Cool. First up is Crazy G 473 AIO, which is a 5 amp AIO. Direct soldered weBLEED 0702 40,000 kV motors with HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 propellers. And let me fire up this. So weBLEED 0702 40K. Oh, I gotta make this column wider. Prop is HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3. This will get quicker as I put a bunch of this in. I can start copying and pasting. 1S BT 2.0 465 for the battery. AIO is Crazy G 463. Frame is Air 65 V2. And then airspeed. And I'm doing everything in miles per hour because bald eagles and wife beaters. 465 mAh battery going in. Maybe. Jesus, get in there. What the hell was that about? Transmitter coming up. Anemometer is on. I'm going to set this to min-max mode. There it is, max mode. There's actually a phone application for this thing, but the phone application through Bluetooth, it doesn't read the airspeed. It's just an extension. You don't have to push the buttons on this, which is weird. Although I guess like if you had this on a pole up really high, then you could use the phone to change the settings. But like you would have to pull the thing down to look at the fucking results on it. I don't understand why they would do that with the Bluetooth application, but whatever. Everything's fine on the screen. Again, wow, 13.6, and I'm blowing through it the wrong way. It would be better if I blew through it this way. Here we go. 465 big ass battery. Oh, this is cool. I can hold the damn thing by the battery. That's kind of nice. So let's test suck versus blow first. So we want the wind coming here, so I need to hold it like this. And so we arm it. It doesn't arm. We arm it. It doesn't arm. Throttle is zeroed. We arm it. What? It wanted to be down on the desk. That was weird. Now it's fine. Here we go. Well, actually, hold on. Let me clear it out. What's it do at an idle? 2 miles an hour. 2.2, 2.4. It's because I was moving it a little bit. All right, so I'm going to wiggle it around, and let's see what the PID loop will do by itself. 14.5. 14.5. So 14.7. So that's an example of how the PID loop will not go 100% on the motors, because watch this. So our max is 14.7 from that. Here we go, ready? 24.1. Ooh, it stinks. I have a terrible feeling I'm gonna blow up a bunch of AIOs doing this. 24.1. And I think you were maybe seeing me moving it away back and forth a little bit. That's because there is some sort of a sweet spot, and so it's really nice that this thing is on max. The refresh rate I turned up in the application. That's one cool thing. It let me turn the refresh rate from 60 hertz up to 120 hertz. So it's checking the wind speed twice every second. So let me throw this battery on the charger. Wow, it took it all the way down to 4.2 volts. That's pretty crazy. It's charging it back up. I'm going to take another 450-ish mAh battery. This is a 480. I think it's really just a 450. And let's see what this battery does. This is now one of these bigger celled batteries. I don't have a nice handle with this battery, so I'm going to have to hold it a little different. I guess I'll hold it like this. Try to keep my fingers out of the airflow as much as I can. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Oh, it wants to be flat. I guess it's the accelerometer or gyro wanting to calibrate. There we go. Okay. Try this again. And I want it to be this way. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what this will do. It didn't beat that 24. I should have probably cleared that out. Ooh, the motors are hot. Just for a split second, the motor had a little bit of heat to it. I've never felt a tiny whoop motor actually have any heat in it. That's kind of cool. They cool off really, really fast for some reason. Okay, so that 465 battery is the way to go. It's charging back up. It's at 4.29 already. The next test I want to do is with it pulling the air through. But what I'm going to do is zero this out. And I'm going to put this back on the charger. And while I'm waiting for that 465 to charge back up, let's run a 300 mAh battery and see what that does. So this is actually a 340 from weBLEED. What were we, 24? Let's see what this does. All right, right around here. Keep my fingers out of the way as much as I can. Line it up. I didn't put it on min-max mode, but I saw 26.4 for a split second there, which is Not great, because that is a lack of repeatability. It's rearing its head right away. Let me try another one of these. Another one of these 340s. That kind of stinks. But let's see. I think there is going to be a lack of repeatability from battery sag. On tiny whoops, you get like a split second of full power, and then like everything heat soaks. The motors heat soak, the ESC FETs get hot. And so I think that's going to be where we run into a lot of problems. Let's see here. Let's fire it up again. 22.6. Okay, that's what I expect to see from this smaller battery. So maybe I was like moving it forward, and I created a little bit of extra jam on that one, on that other battery, but somewhat repeatable. 22.6. Let me take another one of these 340 mAh batteries, and we're just gonna fire up a different rig. This is now same motors, 40,000, but on bi-blades, the 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 bi-blades. Different AIO as well. This is now a 12 amp AIO, Beta FPV 12 amp, their new Matrix AIO. And so we were just on a 5 amp, now we're going to 12 amp, same motors, more efficient propellers, but probably not as thrusty propellers. Let's just see. Let's just see what happens here. What do we got to beat? 24.1, but just now we had 22.6 on this same on one of these 340 mAh batteries. 22.6 to beat. Let's see what happens. $24.6. Woo-hoo-hoo, damn. Okay. So that could be the 12 amp FETs. That could be these bi-blades. You know, 40,000 kV motors are asking for, they're asking to let the RPMs come up. 24.6, damn. Extra 2-point-something miles an hour on the same 340 mAh battery. Well, a freshly charged 340 mAh battery, I should say. Okay. 24.6. Do I have another one of these that's fully charged? I do. Let's try the pushing versus pulling on this build. So 24.6 with it pushing air through. Let's see what we get with it pulling air through. 24.6 to beat. This is going to be a little bit harder because I can't quite... Nah, I can totally see the screen. All right, here we go. Oh, not looking good so far. It's not even spinning the... Wowee. Interesting. Well, here we go. Holy shit, what a difference. 6.9. Okay. What I think that means is that when it's pulling air, it's pulling all the air. Like, all this air is getting pulled. And so, and this is just a tiny little fragment of that. And then when it pushes air, it must be pushing air in a much neater column that's getting into here. Holy shit, what a difference. That is wild. That is absolutely wild. So I'm thinking about a box frame as a pusher versus a puller. And so if it's pulling the air from this massive area, boy, that doesn't make any sense. That would lead me to believe that a puller is going to be more efficient than a pusher. That's weird. Wow, that's crazy. It didn't do shit pulling the air through. Crazy. Okay, well, there's a massive, super obvious. My fear was that like we would be 1 mile an hour off on a lot of this stuff, and that's like super in the noise, not learning shit. But boy, we learned a lot on that one. That's wild. Okay, fair enough. Oh, I think I get it. I think I know why. I think I know what's going on here. Check this out, right? So, I'm going to actually get the box frame in question. So this is the exact box frame that Ryan Harrell and Freybot and the Lumineer crew tested as a pusher and a puller. The orientation that they want you to build this in is a pusher, just like this. And so what I assume is happening is that the difference is these supports. Hang on. The difference is these supports on one side versus no supports on the other side. Everything else is the same, right? These guards are exactly the same, top and bottom. And so what I think it means is that we just learned that when it pulls air, it pulls the air from a massive wide area. It doesn't just pull a column of air straight down. It pulls all the air, which makes sense. It's just creating a low pressure zone, and so the air is going to come in from anywhere it possibly can. So 360 degrees, it's going to pull air from this big wide area. So if you put these supports up on top where it's pulling from this wide area, those supports are a lower percentage of the total area, right? And then on the exhaust side, on the thrust side, it's pushing this column. And so if you have supports in that column, they're going to take up a lot of the area a bigger percentage of the area, and they're going to create more of a disruption to the actual thrust. That makes a lot of sense. Interesting. Huh. Well, shit. I think that means that, I mean, that is such a drastic difference that I think that like totally supports the thought process of pushers being more efficient than pullers. Although it's probably somewhat frame specific. You know, that box frame has wide, flat chunks of carbon as the supports. A frame like this has fairly aerodynamic, thin kind of ducts here. But I'm willing to bet if you were able to build this upside down and not have the battery in a weird spot that changes the aerodynamic situation, which is typically impossible to do, it would be more efficient as a pusher. But pushers suck. You can't land with them. The props are super low to the ground. It's just super annoying. Where the hell do you put your battery? Where do you put your camera? It's just not the right orientation for actual builds that are going to get flown. So yeah, the puller versus pusher thing, to me, in my opinion, is a do you want to actually fly it, or do you want it to just sit on your shelf kind of situation? All right, that 465 is almost recharged. I want to run that on this guy. I ran this on the smaller batteries, and it did extremely well. I'm curious how it'll do on that big-ass battery. I had 4 of those 465s, but I gave 3 of them away because I said, well, I'm never going to use them. Okay, so we got these two guys. I am gonna start more rapid firing some of this testing with a bunch of different builds here. Let me go grab them real quick, because it'll be cool to kind of fill this thing up. So we're gonna do it all with pushing. I got 2 newbie drone rigs here, but I don't have any batteries going for those, so I'll have to test them another time. This is kind of cool. I got two of these 1.4 inch prop builds. I bet you these will turn much lower airspeed numbers, because I wonder if we can learn some shit. Like when you go to a bigger propeller on the same motor, it'll drag the motor down, and it'll do a lower air velocity, but it'll send a bigger wall of air out. And that would be kind of cool. This should confirm that in a way. Okay, we ran this one. Next one we're doing is this, and so we've got the same motors, weBLEED 702 40K. Patrons, you can open up this spreadsheet and watch me update it live if you'd like, if you're into that kind of thing. 1.2 by 1.2 by 2 propeller. I am going to test it on that same battery. This is a Matrix V2 AIO 12 amp, and then this is also on an Air 65 V2 frame. The Champion Edition, or is it the regular? I think it's the regular. I forget the difference between the two of them. Okay, so this guy's getting run on that battery, but then I'm going to start rapid firing these on the regular 340 mAh batteries. And so let's get some of these rolling. We're going to do the indestructible whoop, which is on the 0702 40s, but the prop is Gemfan 1219S. Battery is going to be 1S BT 2.0 430, right? That's there. Yeah, 430s. Okay, and then the frame. Oh, this might be cool to check different frames against each other. The frame is Cockroach V3. Oh, no, that's asking me. That's the AIO column. The AIO is 2G4. All right, cool. So this guy, and then we're also going to do the green build with the tiny whoop motors. So these are tiny whoop 0702 36K on the same prop. So I can just copy and paste. We'll do this on a 430. I believe it's a 2G4. Yes, it is. Okay. And Cockroach V3 frame. Yep. Cool. Test that one. Test that one. And then we'll get into the wacky shit, man. This... What is this guy? What are these motors? The Freestyles? Yeah, 27,000. 0702 27,000 beta FPV motors. Beta FPV 0702. What did I say? 27K? I think so. On weird propellers. These are Gemfan 35mm-S. Wait. This is they're called, right? 35mm S. By. Okay, cool. Same battery. I think this is the Matrix V1 AIO. And then Meteor 65 Pro frame. Cool. And then last but not least, we will test this. What's before the crazy G473? What was that that AIO right before that? The Super X AIO. So this is on weBLEED 32,500s. Fantastic. 0702 32.5K. Got it. The propellers are the same Gemfan 35mm S. Pretty sure that's what the biblades are called. Same battery, 430. AIO is Super X, 5 amp. Was the Matrix V1 5 amp? It was. 2G4, 5 amp. Okay, perfect. Crazy G473, 5 amp. There we go. Okay. And then the frame is, yeah, the same. Meteor 65 Pro. Okay. Hey, batteries are ready. Let's go with these two 340s first. And then we're going to test some 75mm stuff. But let's rapid fire some of this. So min, max. We're going to set it to max. It's zeroed out. Line this up. Kick this transmitter on. Here we go. Oh, I forgot to hit the button. Now ELRS is going to have to go around the horn. Yeah, there it is. All right, let's see. 40,000s on Gemfan 1219S's. Whoa! 25.5? What? That don't seem right. 25.5. Oh, the tri-blades. 1219S. Yeah, 19. Pitchy. Wowee. 25.5. Jesus. Okay. I am going to need to... All right, so I'm just going to take... We're going to repeat this test. We're going to do this a bunch. Where are we at? 1219. 25.5. Nope. Nope. God damn it. Not 255. 25.5. There we go. Yeah, we're going to need to repeat these. I can just tell already. Damn, 25.5. That's legit. Okay, let's try the 36,000 kV rig. This is also going to be a way of telling which one of my builds are hurting. This might be one of the ones that's hurting. Last time I flew this, it did not feel like it was making all the power that it kind of should be. And speak of the devil, the left front motor seems to be dead. Oh, great. Awesome. Come on now, are you shitting me? There it goes. What's happening, friend? I think this is a motor wire issue because I moved the motor wires and it came back to life for a split second. Let me just move them again. It's back to life. Let's just see if we can get a number. I think it's going to be a really low number. That would actually explain why it's got a really low number, because it probably has a one of the 3 motor cables on motor 4 that's just hanging on for dear life. So it probably has like 1 strand still connected. What was that noise? It threw a prop. I wonder where it went. It probably went straight forward. Could you guys see that happen? That might have been pretty cool. It went somewhere. Oh, and I forgot to zero it out. God damn it. Let's see what 3 propellers will do. What? 21.2. I would not have thought that. That's a worthless test result. Jesus. Might not be a good idea for me to be downwind from this, but like, all right. It'll be fine. Is this the right? Ooh, perfect. I can just slap this propeller on it. Let me make sure this is the same pitch propeller. This is a 0.9. These are, oh no, these are 31 millimeters. These are the 1.2 by 1.1 by 3 props that are on this. Hey, there it is. It's on the ground. Got it. It didn't go very far. Okay. Let me try to... Yeah, I can tell that the hub is broken. Oh, you fucker. You can just barely see that line through the middle of the hub. The hub is broken. Yeah, you could see it just at the last second there. If I take a 1.2, an M1.2 millimeter screw, it should open this thing up a little bit. Sorry, tighten the inside of this up a little bit. Let's try it. I've done it a couple times and it's worked. M1.2 screws are the canopy screws, and so you can use your canopy screws just like the M1.8 screws that I sell in the Etsy store, and there it is. And there goes the hub. So yeah, that hub was just dying to break, and now it just broke the rest of the way. As HQ ultralights do. So, okay. Had a feeling that was coming. That's why it flew off, because the hub was starting to F up. Okay, hold on. Let's see if I can do this real quick. What is it? Right side high. Do I have another green one to keep it all matchy-matchy? I do, and the hub is not pre-broken. That's always nice. I can't tell you how many of these HQ ultralights I take out of the bag, and the hub already has, like, stress fracture kind of marks in it. Let's drill it out so that it has the best possible chance of living. I'm not taking much material. The inner diameter of this is already pretty close to perfect. Okay, let's fire it up and see. Oh, no. That's, I'm having to push that way too hard. We're gonna take a little bit more material off here. To take more material out of the inside, don't spin it. You spin it to run the propeller down, and then grab the prop and just pull it straight off. That's how you remove the most material from the inside of these props. You'll actually see it if you catch the light. You'll see like a little poof of white plastic come out when you pull it straight out like that. And now, it's still a little bit too tight. I should have maybe hit it a little bit more, but it's on there now, so we're gonna leave it. All right, let's try that again. I believe this one's fully charged. I think I swapped those batteries out. So on 3 propellers, it did 21.2. So these are the more pitchy HQ ultralights. Let's see what it does with all 4 propellers. Whoa. Whoa, who's hitting? What are you hitting for? It's motor 2 that's hitting. That wasn't hitting a minute ago. That's weird. Where are you hitting, friend? On the front side? That's weird. Tiny whoop life, man. All better. Cool. All right, let's see. Oh, God. $23.2 is barely any more. That's crazy. What? Wow. Okay. Why is 3 motors doing such a good job? 23.2. This is the okay. Well, not completely unrepeatable. The 40,000 kV motors just did 25. The 36,000 just did 23. That's the way it should be. Oh, big battery is done. Cool. Big battery. The big old 465. Oh, shit. Which one was I going to run on? The biblades. The one with the biblades. Yeah, here we go. I'm super excited to see what this does. 12 amp FETs, big-ass battery. 40,000 kV 0702 weBLEED motors with the biblades, the HQ ultralight biblades. And a nice handle. I use this battery as a handle for the damn thing. There we go. Wait, I'm going to put it down, arm it. Come on. There we go. Okay. Hold it by the handle. Right hand on here. Here we go. Oh, it's oscillating. Uh-oh. That's going to burn to the ground quick. 23.2, though. Nope. I didn't clear it out. That sucks. Oh, boy, is this an abusive thing to do. Let me just give it a second to cool itself off. Stop it, stop it. 20.1. It's with it oscillating like that, though, it's not going to give me a good number. Why are you oscillating, you little bastard? This is the oscillating AIO. I mean, clean. Right at half throttle, it starts oscillating. There we go. It wasn't oscillating there. 24.4. I got it was clean for a second there. 24.4. Okay. The other rig was 24.1 on the 40,000s on the tri-blades, and then this did 24.4. We're in the ballpark. Nothing's been like drastically wrong yet. It's a good thing. I bet you if I put my finger, watch this. I'm just gonna put my finger on the AIO, and I bet you that stops it from oscillating. It's the AIO just wobbling back and forth on in the frame. I can almost guarantee it. How can I get my finger on here? Try not to obstruct the airflow with my finger, but easier said than done. Oh God, no! I can't touch that AIO. It's hot as shit. It's burning up. Hold on, what about this side? Maybe I can touch this side. Oh, I'm gonna get burned. Ready? Oh, yeah, it's hot. Ooh, that AIO is hot. Holy shit. Okay, I ain't doing that. Nope, 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 nope. Close enough. 24.4 it is. Ooh, jeez. I mean, I did have that thing oscillating for like a full second. That was super abusive. Let's try these 1.4-inch prop builds. I think you're going to see a big difference here. I think these are going to make much lower airspeed. Let's take a look. We'll do it on a 340. Is this the first one? Yeah, BLEEDfpv. Good. I'm doing them in the right order for the sheet. And, all right, get it down. Okay. Get on there, come on. Why am I only charging at 0.6 of an amp? That was stupid. 0.9. Go, 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 big fella. Okay, and I'm going to get one of these other 480s back on here as well. Okay, here we go. Up. Zero it out. Wait, I'm not holding it right. I'm not holding it in a good way. I got to hold it so I'm disturbing less of the airflow. I can't hold it from the ducts, though, because then they'll hit the props. There we go. That's what I want. $22.8. I'll be damned. That is lower. 22.8. I didn't think it would do that well. Okay. Let's do the other one. That is low. That's the lowest one yet. Totally different set of motors, though. BLEEDfpv motors. We've been running all weBLEED, Tiny Whoop, HappyModel motors so far. Sweet. This battery is ready. Let's check this guy with the HappyModel 23,500s. These are both the 1.4-inch prop bi-blade builds. The super floaty builds. All right, zero that out. And let's see. Oh, for God's sakes. Come on. Arm, you bastard. There we are. Okay. Here we go. What? 24.4? How? That seems a little weird. It's not fair to do it again because the battery is now drugged down, but just out of curiosity. Woof. Damn. Wow. Okay. That's weird. That's very weird. Well, maybe it's not that weird. These are bigger bi-blades. And so the fact that they're bi-blades lets them spin up to the higher RPM. But these are only the 32,500 motors. Interesting. That could be an example of like a propeller and a motor being really well matched up. So these are bigger. These are 1.4 inch instead of 1.2, but they're bi-blades. And so we've got the efficiency advantage of a bi-blade and a bigger propeller. And then the motors have just enough to crank them up. Damn, that's the second highest airspeed that we've seen. I'm going to be really curious to redo all of these and see if it's absolutely all over the place. I've not really retested any of these yet. All right, let's do a 1.6 inch prop rig. Nope, that battery's not done. Ooh, this one is though. On a Lava 480. So we're gonna try the GEP-RC motors. So we've got GEP-RC 1002 25K on Gemfan 1610 1S BT 2.0 480, and then the AIO is Matrix V2 12 amp. I can just copy and paste that. Awesome. And then the frame is Air 75 V2. Cool. All right, let's check this one. Zeroed. Battery. Flat away from me. Come on. I'm assuming it's funny to see me getting blown away over and over again. I hope you appreciate it. If a prop comes flying off and goes into my eye, it was all for the content. Okay, here we go. GEP-RC 1002 25,000s. Woo! 30 miles an hour, yo. Oh, now we're talking. 30. Damn, not even a decimal point. GEP-RC. Told you these 1002 25s are monsters. Oh, the other 480 mAh battery just finished up. Beautiful. Now we get to take a look at the new Beta FPV motors. What's interesting though is that this is an O4 rig, and the O4 does pull on the battery pretty good, and so these motors are a little bit crippled, I'll bet you, from the O4 system firing up. Can I reach the plug for it? I can indeed. And I should be able to just plug that right back in. Come on, get out of there. I'm going to leave it plugged in. We're going to run it. I'm going to rerun it with it unplugged. No, I'll unplug it first. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Look at the big brain on Brad. Royale with cheese. Here we go. Beta FPV 1102 21,000s. 21K. On, well, different propellers. Now we're on to an even bigger propeller, 1.8. So, here we go. Okay. Also a much bigger canopy, which is not going to help the situation here. All right, just trying to hold it to get my... Man, now it's getting so big that it's hard to get my fingers out of the way. $29.5. That makes a lot of sense. Bigger propeller, bigger wall of air, but then tri-blades, which are going to drag it down. And when we tested the RPM on these motors absolutely ran a little bit lower of an RPM than the GEPs. But again, it's a bigger wall of air, 1.8 versus 1.6. We also saw more power in that test from these motors. And so to be able to create airspeed that's 0.5 of a mile an hour lower, but on a bigger propeller, yeah, absolutely. This is going to make more grams of thrust. But what I'm really interested in is plugging this back in and then rerunning this. Test A, because I want to start rerunning these, but B, yeah, what effect does a O4 wide being plugged in have? So, but I gotta wait for those batteries to get done. The one of them's at 4.32, the other one's at 4.31. So let's do a retest. Let's retest one of the ones that I ran on the 340s. What was the one that was super weird? It was this one that turned a higher number than I thought. So let's grab same battery, throw it on here, and let's see if we can get... So last time we got 24.4. Let's see if we get 24.4 again. Come on. Come on. Get in there. There we go. Okay. Shooting for 24.4. See how repeatable this shit is. Here we go. I also do need to like test holding it in different ways. I'm curious if... Although this seems to be the best way to kind of hold it. There we go. Ah, shit. I forgot to zero it out. This is now a little bit unfair, but... 22.8. We were shooting for 24, but I fucked that up. Damn it. It really makes a big difference if you get it on the first hit. I know that from all the other testing that I've done with these things, all the RPM testing. So, yeah, that's kind of worthless. Damn it. 22.8. I did that full throttle blast, and it pulled the battery down right off the rip there. Yeah, so, like, for example, right, just in that little bit of time, that battery went from 4.35 all the way down to 4.25. Which I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but like when these things are all the way up at 4.35 volts, they hit hard. You can really like feel it when you fly them. Like the first 10 seconds, it's like, oh shit, and then they kind of settle in after that. B Kirk says, what does that mean? The ELRS has to go around the horn. If you plug a quad in, it looks for an ELRS connection. Jesus, why is that so hot? I only have it on 250 milliwatts. Jesus. I touched the heat sink on the ELRS jib jab. The quad looks on whatever the packet rate is. So I think I'm on 250. So it looks for a transmitter on 250. If it doesn't find it, it goes to 333, it goes to 500, then it goes down the bottom. And so it like goes around the horn looking for a connection at all the different packet rates. And then, and so you always want to make sure your transmitter is on first before you plug the quad in, because then it'll connect pretty much right away. But yeah, when I turn the transmitter on, a lot of times I'll forget to hit the button and it'll sit here. The little watch battery on the inside is dead. And so right now it's not powering the ELRS. I have to hit that and then it'll power up the actual ELRS module. But a lot of times I'll forget and it'll be on that screen there waiting for me. Off Axis says, by the way, I'm collecting screenshots of your face and you just perfect. Yukon FPV says Pyrodrone has it in stock. Are you shitting me? What? I thought I specifically looked there. Amazing, because I need to do an order on Pyrodrone. They have something in stock. Fly Woo Fan. No. How do you find it? It'll be super obvious. Please have it in stock, Flywoo. Pyrodrone. I don't know where on their website I would find the damn thing. You messing with me? They don't have it in stock. How you gonna get my hopes up like that? What if I just search for fan? Oh God, yeah, no. Why do props come up when you search for fan? That's a little weird. How do I find it on Pyrodrone? Nardo Polo says, as you move the whoop around during the test, might be worth moving so flow from one motor is centered with the anemometer's center. So as I move the quad around on the screen, I can see the numbers kind of getting better. And it's the number always hits its peak when I have it perfectly centered. And like, I'm also kind of doing this a little bit. Like there's a point where I'm kind of getting used to where I'll just see that number kind of spike. I am curious though, what if I do put what if I offset it so there's just one motor? I assume it'll be a lot lower. We saw 2-point-something miles an hour less when that one motor threw the prop. So I can't imagine it'll be more. But I mean, you never know. Hold on, let me enter this one into the spreadsheet real quick. What are these propellers? These are 1811, Gemfan 1811. 1811. The battery is 1S BT 2.0 40, and then we'll do some 2S real quick here. AIO is Beta FPV Cross V2 is what I'm gonna call it here. Frame is Meteor 75 Pro V2. And we got 29.5. Okay, cool. I'm caught up. Let's try just one. I'm just going to use this battery that's not... Nah, I get this one. We're gonna redo another one of these tests, but I'm not going to fuck it up this time. Let's redo the very first test that I did on the Crazy G. So we saw 24.1 out of this one. Let's redo this. Oh, that was on the big battery though. No. I want to redo something from these small batteries. So let's go with the indestructible whoop. Indestructible whoop is on 40,000 kV weBLEED motors on Gemfan 1219S propellers. And this one surprised me a little bit. It did 25.5. 25.5 is what we're shooting for. Okay. And here we go. Oh, no. Zeroed out. 25.5, yo. That's crazy. It did the exact same number. Okay. Maybe it is repeatable. Shit. I also got there like right away. I'm figuring out where the little sort of sweet spot is here. So I'm moving it. I'm watching the numbers go. When I pull it really close, the numbers go down, and then the numbers go up. They go up. They go up. They go up, and then there's a point where they start to drop back down, and it's like right about here, and that's happening over and over again. When I'm moving around like this, there's not the distance seems to have the most effect versus kind of moving it around. But yeah, it's cool to see the numbers bounce up and down. All right, damn, dude, exactly the same number. That's kind of cool. That's I don't know if we end up learning anything from this. That's really cool that it's being repeatable like that. Let's see 2S. Here is a. Put it into the thing. So these are beta FPV 1102 18,000s, I believe. Yes, 18,000s, and I'm pretty sure they're motor limited down to 90%. 18K, 90% motor limit, because otherwise this thing just makes too much power. It's bananas. Gemfan 1610 props, 2S BT 3.0 300 mAh battery. AIO is beta FPV 12 amp. I believe it's the V3. Frame is Mob 7V3. All right. What will 2S do? Hopefully not chop my fingers to bits. The dog is snorting and snotting and shitting and shotting. What do you want, Teddy? Oh my god, it's 8 after 12 already. All right. Hurry up and charge batteries. I want to check a couple of those. I left the throttle at max just now. Oof, boy. You can just hear the power. Oh boy, this is stupid. Don't kill me. Luckily, if it slips out of my fingers, it'll hit you guys. Oh god. Oh. Whoa. It only did 29.1. Boy, that's weird. It feels way more than that. Maybe it's just the noise though. I do have another one of these batteries. Do I? Shit, I don't. I'm gonna quick put this battery back on there. We're gonna retest that because like I closed my eyes and I wasn't lining it up properly. We're gonna try the 2-inch rig. Ugh. Where is it? Here it is. Ooh! There's two 2-inch rigs I can try. 1103 and 1003, the analog and the digital. Let's try this guy though. We'll try the digital rig on the 1003 18,000s. Oh yeah, no, this is the only one I can try because this is the only one that's on XT30. So throw this in here. This is gonna be ridiculous. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hold this goddamn thing because the 2-inch frame is so much bigger. All right, let's do something stupid. It's time to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah. Time to do some sketchy shit. I hope that I don't die. Oh boy, this is gonna be a motherfucker to hold on to. I can just tell you. Oh god, yeah, I can't. Okay. So I'm gonna have to obstruct the thrust a little bit on this one. Oh, shit, is there any other way I can? I guess I can kind of pinch the battery like this, maybe. It's gonna pull that way. Oh god. Oh god. Oh boy. Well, I forgot to zero this out. Now, yeah, I can't hold it like that. That's silly. I'm gonna have to hold it like this. It's so big now. $34.4. See, that's more what I expected. Ooh, that puts out some fucking thrust, bro. Wow, that is a noticeable difference. Jesus Christ. Okay, wowee, that's something. Jesus. Even with me, like, keeping my fingers over. Hold on, let me put this one on the sheet. So we've got Flywoo 1003. It's some weird ass KV, these 1003s. They're like 14,800 or some shit. Yep, that's it. 14,800. 14.8K. The props are Gemfan 2015. 2S XT 30 380, right? Yep. AIO is, I don't even know, Mob 704, I'm just going to call it. Mob 704, I forget what the actual AIO is. And then the frame is Mob 8. 34.4, yikes. How's that BT 3.0 battery doing? Ooh, it's almost there. Do I have another one ready? Ooh, the big battery's ready. Big 465 is ready. Let's retest some shit. We're going to retest the very first one, which is this guy here on the tri-blades with the 40,000s. Let's see. This guy going in here. Put him like that. And zero this out. Arm it. Come on. Here we are. All right. Lollipop. Tiny whoop. $23.7. It did 24.1 before. That's damn good. 23.7. Let's try the single motor thing. So if we offset it so it's really just blowing one single motor, let's see. 19.9. Wow, it does really good. I'm gonna assume that it's not just blowing a cone like this. It's got to be blowing a cone like this. It's certainly not like on the intake side, right? It's not like this. It's like this, I believe. Because boy, I had that offset as shit just now, and it still did 19.9 versus 23.7. And the battery is starting to come down in voltage a little bit. So, yeah, that's pretty good. We can retest this guy because I got a pretty shitty result on the first one. Was it this one, right? No, it was this one. I got an okay result. It was the other 2S rig, but let's retest this anyway. Flat spot away, and here we go. Zero that. Arms just fine. Here we go. Okay. $29.7. What did it do last time? 29.5. Wow, it's really repeatable. I'm shocked. I was sure this would be less repeatable. I'll be damned. That's pretty slick, man. I did not expect this to be... I still don't know if we're learning anything, but who cares? It's fun. All right, these two batteries are ready. This one is ready. We're going to retest another 2S rig real quick, which is going to be the GEP. Let's retest the GEP RC motors. Flat spot away. B. Kirk says, what is a good light AIO for 65mm 04 light build? O4 light builds, you don't really have any options for AIOs. There's just the beta FPV. Yeah, you get the beta FPV and that's it. That's the one. It's the only one that has a high enough amp rated BEC to power the jib jab. 28.8, less than last time. So now there was a difference. Last time it did 30. This time it did 28.8. I did start it a little bit farther away. I've been thinking with these bigger ones, maybe I need to start them farther away. So that might have been it. Because that first hit of full throttle is like, I can tell when I'm holding it in just the right spot because it just ramps all the way up on the numbers. And then it doesn't hit that same number again. So I think I was just holding this a little too far away. But I have multiple columns in here for the multiple tests that we're doing. So I'll just drop it in and it is what it is. Last one I want to test is this 2S. Ah, perfect. Okay, let's get a proper number without me screwing it up with this guy here. 1102 18,000s on 2S with the Gemfan 1610 bi-blades. This felt as powerful as the 2-inch rig. Maybe not quite, but pretty close. Closer than what the test kind of showed. All right, here we go. Remember to zero this out this time. Now we're talking 30.9. That's better. That's more what I expected. Still not quite as high as the 2-inch rig, though. 30.9. Last time it did 29.1. Well, what does it all mean? I don't know. It means something. That's for sure. It's interesting. It's interesting. I'm sure as I overthink it, I'll figure some stuff out. But kind of interesting that well, I already figured it's I think we already kind of talked about it, but I think the main thing that this shows is that I got that logged in there, okay. Is that static thrust stand if these guys can go 34 plus miles an hour in the real world, traveling through the air where we have this incoming air, but on the stand, the most powerful one that we saw was doing 25.5 miles an hour. That absolutely that shows you that it does make a difference, right? Thrust stand testing with the quad tied down is absolutely asking more of the motors than when it's rocketing through the air. And so with these really high kV motors, if the thrust stand data is a little disappointing, that's okay because we don't fly on a thrust stand. I think that's the main thing that this kind of shows us. I'm surprised by how repeatable these results are. It absolutely shows that the higher kV motors and in some cases the pitchier props are making more power, are making more airspeed. Power is like the full wall of thrust coming out of these things. I was really wondering if the bigger shit was actually going to make more airspeed, or if it's just putting out a bigger wall of thrust, which is going to push more air. And they are actually doing more airspeed. That's kind of interesting. Yeah. I don't think this is like the end-all, be-all of testing, but it's super interesting to see these things ramp up the way that they should. same exact motors, 1.2 by 0.9. There are some well, yeah, see, the AIOs are a problem. 5 amp versus 12 amp. We've seen that in Butterfly FPV's testing. And so, like, we had a situation here, two of the same motors, 0702 40,000s, tri-blades versus bi-blades. The tri-blades should make more power, but the tri-blades were on a 5 amp ESC. The bi-blades were on a 12 amp ESC. And the bi-blades did 0.3 more mile an hour airspeed. That is definitely within the noise. But still interesting. Same set of motors again on Gemfan 1219 tri-blades, really pitchy tri-blades. I was pretty surprised by this. Even on a 5 amp AIO, they made even more, 25.5 miles an hour of airspeed, twice in a row. That was repeatable. So that's interesting, because that's a 5 amp AIO cranking out more airspeed than the Matrix V2 12 amp. I wouldn't think that that would happen. So that was a little surprising. And then we went down to 0702 36,000 on the HQ Ultralight Tri-Blades, and it did 23.2, which is the lowest of those four. So that totally tracks. That makes sense, with the lower KV motors. And then we got into the wacky shit. The bigger 1.4 inch props, 22.8 miles an hour, 24.4 miles an hour. On lower KV 702s, and then we're kind of all over the place on the bigger props as well. 30 miles an hour, 29.5, 29.1, 34.4. Flywoo 1003, 14,800 kV on 2S with Gemfan 2015. Oh yeah, right. Gemfan 2015 bi-blades. This guy did 34.4. That's a lot. But 1003 is a big ass motor, so not super surprising. Cool. Doodlefish says, testing different frames, I think you'd want a fog machine like someone mentioned earlier, or a wind tunnel. Yeah, the aerodynamics at play on these things are way too deep for any kind of like smoke machine or wind tunnel to be able to figure it out, and I don't know shit about shit when it comes to that. So, but yeah. Yuke says, I finally got the giant tree dive out behind my house. There's like a pizza slice cut out of the tree canopy, so you only dive straight down it. That's awesome. I missed any other chat comments? Ural's going to sleep back here at 11:20 or so. YouTube did the thing, says, just seen Mads Tech's piece on the Flywoo fan on 6S. It throttled to 30%, 4S 55%. 2 to 3S 100%. Interesting. Cole FPV says, can you add a dynamic compressor to the mic input so it automatically subdues loud noises? Should be a filter in OBS. I've tried to do fancy things to the mic and it made it sound worse, and so I turned them off. Nathan Wells says, looks like Zencopter has the Flywoo fan. What's Zencopter? I'm not familiar with them. Zencopter? Well, look at these guys. Where are you guys at? They're stateside? About us. Texas. Holy shit. Cool. Looks like I'm ordering it from Zencopter. Unless somebody tells me where I can find it on Pyrodrone. Because I couldn't find it on there. Okay. Yuke says, no, not the Flywoo fan. The new Beta FPV 2 to 4S HD AIO. Got it. Pyro has the new AIO. B. Kirk says, need a 3D print to hold the quads in the same place for the test. Yeah, I mean, what is nice, though, is that this has this function where it holds the max. And so I'm moving it in the same place and I'm seeing it spike. And then, yeah, so... and again, the problem with holding these tiny whoop frames is, like, they're squishy and they're, and they're all different sizes. And, like, how do you get something to hold it that doesn't have, like, a panel behind it? like I said, I've been pleasantly surprised with how repeatable these results have been. So I think, I mean, and again, I don't think we're learning anything groundbreaking here. I think this is just kind of like a fun thing to play around with. Off Axis says that was the funniest shot so far. Doodlefish says science is just doing shit and writing it down. Indeed. Off Axis says someone is CiottiFPV. Everyone learns in this live stream. The more you know. Chef Bruno says that the info I found. Seer says, what should I have / would you want to see in the OSD when testing Tiny Whoop's speed, motor RPM, total amps, and mile an hour? Yes. Yep. Those would be the 3 things. Uriel says, there's so much parameters, it's almost like live. FPV says, I'm sure you won't see the last comments, but I was saying the new bit. Okay, yep, we got it. And then Mike Bravo with 100 PLN super chat. He says, cheers. Thank you so much, Mike, for the support. We learned something. I'm not totally sure what it is that we learned, but we learned something together. I had a good time. I made some funny faces. I feared for my life a little bit. It's always a good live stream when all those things happen. Think about this shit with me, will ya? For the next couple days, about like how we can use this data. I think it is a good way of, if you have an unhealthy whoop and you hold it up here and it's like 5 miles an hour shy. I think that's somewhat valuable data. These anemometers are not super expensive. You can certainly snag one for yourself. It might come in handy someday for something, if you ever need to know where wind speed is. Yeah. Cool tool to have. But yeah, I'll be interested to see. I mean, obviously, change to a different frame and see if there's any effect. Yeah, of course. But like, I'm thinking like I know there's something else. There's some other thing that we can do that this little setup will tell us the answer to. We just have to think about it. Offax with the last comment on live stream. It says, question from the chat from Doodlefish: do aerodynamics even matter for a drone? Big time. I just feel like the frame itself affects aerodynamics more than the thrust. Yeah, aero makes a massive difference on these things. Like when I fly something like this versus something like this, it's night and day. The thickness of the ducts, the drag of the canopy, these fly completely different from each other. I can tell the difference when I switch from this canopy to this style canopy. I can tell the difference between the thick duct frames and the thin duct frames. Aerodynamics has a lot to do with these. The problem is, though, that we can't just use aero as how we build, because there's all these other factors that come into play. Durability and like what size battery does the frame hold? Do the propellers hit the standoffs, or do they slide around the ducts, right? And so, yeah, there's a lot going on. Tom Ride says, I have a few GNB batteries that always get a connection break error on my SkyRC Neo charger. One of those batteries is brand new. Any idea what might be going on? Thanks. My guess would be it's the balance lead. Something's going on with the balance lead. It could be on the charger side, but you said you just have a few GNB batteries that do that. That's weird, man. That is weird that it's just those GNB batteries that are doing it. Alfax says, but isn't that just props and battery and motors? In terms of aero? No, it's the frame, it's the canopy, it's all the things. What just happened there? Did somebody just... The spreadsheet just moved around. Do I not have the spreadsheet set? Do I have the spreadsheet set up so that you guys can change it? I hope not. Anyone with the link has access, no sign-in required. No, it shouldn't be. It should be fine. Maybe it was just saving. Jason McCrabtree says, where are you sticking the data from the speed tests? They are in the CiottiFPV Tiny Whoop data spreadsheet. which is linked over on the Patreon. I will throw another. I've linked it before, but to make your life easier, all of your lives easier, I will throw a quick post up with a link to it, because it just takes me a couple of seconds. Start link, embed URL, paste, and I will call it Tiny Whoop Data Spreadsheet. Lots of other fun stuff on there. It's all in the tabs on the bottom. Tiny Whoop Data Spreadsheet, and publish. There you go, friends. If you want to join my Patreon to get access to that, it'll cost you $3 whole a month, which is like 20 cents per live stream or 10 cents a day. I guarantee you I've saved you more than $3 by telling you what sucks and what doesn't suck. So yeah, hook a brother up. Help me tell you more stuff not to buy, and lots of other fun people. Be good, friends. I'll see you again on Friday. Think about what we can use this thing for, and we'll maybe have another little discussion about it on Friday. Cool? Be good. Here's some more open prop analog flying in the front yard with this awesome little guy. 2S 300 mAh batteries, sub 250G, Baby Turtle V7 frame. What camera is this? This is the Foxeer Pico Razor camera. RCM Power 1003 10000s T 2x2x3 propellers. This thing flies awesome set up like this. I'm probably gonna sell it though, but somebody's already kind of interested, so it might sort of already be gone. But if it's not, I'll let you know. Love you, bye. See you Friday.
Yeah. Out in the yard where the grass grows wild, CiottiFPV's goggles locked, grinning like a child. Teddy Spaghetti's fur flies and jet wash dreams. Yeah. Chasing small whoops like a dog possessed fiend. Eyes on a neon blur, hard in the chase. Bit fuzz and prop spin all tangled in place. Yeah. Four-legged rebel with a rotor stir tail in the circus of the sky. They never fail. CiottiFPV, Teddy Spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Yeah. Soddy's on sticks, Teddy's on paws, side by side legends breaking all the laws. Through the kitchen over couch scale terrain, backyard mayhem in their flight domain. No ground too sacred, no loop too tight. Fuzz fuel fury ignites the night. When pilot and pup lock eyes on the prize, every whoop they conquer is a fresh cut surprise. Yeah. Yo, Soddy behind the sticks, Teddy's leading the pack. Prop guard missiles unleashed, never looking back. No leash, no map, just freestyle mic. They on the dog drone streets every day and night. Said whoops, hitting low, gotta nail the dive, Teddy. Push throttle up, feel the beast come alive. I see the neon arc, got the sticks locked in, Teddy. Yeah, let's rip this loop, ride the roar of the wind, Teddy. Yep. Yeah, CiottiFPV, Teddy Spaghetti, dynamic duo kings, barking at the breeze, throttling at top speed, zooming through hoops, flipping in style. That schnauzer's got throttle and a toothy smile. Teddy Spaghetti, ready, mission's just begun. FP